Welcome to my channel. This is Bruce the Boss Brooks, and today's topic is going to be Biden's week jobs report for the month of April. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're not already subscribed. Like this video, comment on this video. We're going to get into it. And if you're questioning why I have this funny looking shirt on, by the way, just a side note, it's because today will be the resurgence, I suppose you can say, of the San Antonio First Friday pub run. So looking forward to doing that. Tonight's theme is going to be Revenge of the Nerds. So looking forward to getting my geek on. So back to today's story. So jobs report came out and it's not looking too great. So according to this, the April's job report released on Friday showed that the U.S. economy heavily missed the Wall Street expectations, adding a measly 266,000 jobs as the country continues to recover from the pandemic. I know what you're probably thinking is, well, 266,000, that's not bad. Under any normal circumstances in their year, you would be true. However, according to CNN's website here, the job market is still struggling because adding $266,000 when we've lost a total of over 22 million jobs since April of last year, and we're barely a little over at a halfway point. We're still very much in a hole from where we were this point last year. Very much in a hole. In fact, they were expecting or hoping for 1 million new jobs to be added, especially as you see more and more states opening up. Florida, which has already been open and full at 100% and no state restrictions since September, so going on 8 months now. My home state here in Texas has been open since March the 10th, so we're going on about 2 months now since we've been fully reopened. Mississippi's also been open since March. A lot of other states are following suit in greater numbers, whether it just be 100% or a lot more rollbacks in order to get the economy rolling, and they still greatly underperformed as a whole nation. Now, the other bad news is that unemployment also rose to 6.1%. Again, in perspective, as it says here in the article, we're at least still much better than we were a year ago, because at its peak in April 2020, back when we lost the $22 million jobs at its height, our unemployment was at a near record-breaking 14.7%. Numbers not seen since the Great Depression, and that was even worse then. But that's just to give an understanding. We are better than where we were a year ago, but a long way to go. In fact, our unemployment numbers are still about double of what we were prior to the pandemic in 2019 under Trump. So this isn't looking too great. And one of the reasons behind the poor unemployment numbers, and as well as poor job growth numbers, according to many, including those in the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, this has to do with the unemployment benefits that were extended under the third stimulus package that was passed in March and signed by President Biden, but also his proposed plan under what has been known as his infrastructure plan to further extend it and increase those federal unemployment benefits. So according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and I quote, "The disappointing job reports makes it clear that paying people not to work is dampening what should be a stronger job market," end quote, says U.S. Chamber of Commerce Chief Policy Officer Neil Bradley. And I quote, "One step policymakers should take now is ending the 300 weekly supplemental unemployment benefits. Based on the Chamber's own analysis, the $300 benefit results in approximately 1 in 4 recipients taking home more in unemployment than they earned working." I wanted to mention Biden's infrastructure bill because, as read later in the article, while Biden is optimistic about the number, saying, well, like how I tried to frame it, we're at least still moving in a positive direction, even though it's not a good report. But then you have Nancy Pelosi coming out and saying, meanwhile, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called the job numbers disappointing, and is saying it highlighted the urgent need to pass President Biden's American Jobs and Families Plan, also known as the infrastructure bill, but has very little to do with the infrastructure, building of roads, internet connectivity, highways, etc., and more to do with other progressive social programs, such as paying for child care, free community college, and, oh yes, extending the federal unemployment benefits, which, according to our own Chamber of Commerce, is incentivizing Americans not to work and go back out there. And why would you? If, as they said in their analysis and report, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, that is, that a quarter of individuals are making more sitting at home doing nothing and collecting unemployment checks than they did working out there working. And so they're not going to go out and look for jobs. A lot of employers, let me go back to the CNN report here, specifically say, though, despite that many people, including Hispanic and Black workers, bearing the brunt of the pandemic, layoffs, and millions out of work, yet some industries can't find workers. Again, you're like, how is that possible? So many people been laid off and out of the workforce. You should be able to find a lot of workers out there, especially since we still aren't even much more than 3/4 of the way back to recovering the number of jobs we had prior to the pandemic. But it's because a lot of people aren't coming back to the workforce. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the true unemployment numbers, or the U6 number, is actually much higher than 6.1%. Because keep in mind, we get our unemployment number from the U3 rating system, I believe, which does not count individuals who stop looking for work but are eligible. So you have a lot of individuals who are eligible to work, but because of these policies, both in the third stimulus package and what Biden is proposing now, it's hamstringing the economy from recovering as much as it could when individuals are not incentivized to do so. In fact, it's the opposite. They're told, hey, stay at home. Not just because of government regulations, and it's not even, I don't think, fear of getting back out, especially with vaccinations kicking back up, ramping up, and hundreds of millions, well, tens of millions of Americans, as much as 100 million or 150 million Americans have been at least injected with one dose of the vaccine. So with vaccines increasing, states rescinding some of their mandates or their restrictions, you would think, okay, well, I'm not that much afraid anymore. It's because of the policies. So that's what I wanted to discuss in this video is, what do you think about the policies? Do you agree with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in that a lot of it's the policies that are incentivizing people not to work? Because this does raise a good question that many libertarians and some conservatives had raised in the past, is that when you make it more attractive for individuals to stay home, they're going to stay home as opposed to work. It seems to be bearing fruit so far. We'll see if Biden changes course. Of course, that would mean that he would have to revise his infrastructure or jobs for Americans bill and take out the pieces of legislature, or the Senate could do that, Senate or House, and take out the piece of legislature that has to do with increasing and extending federal unemployment benefits. Let me know what you think in the chat box below. Do you think we're heading in the right direction? Do you think we need a change in policy as it pertains to the federal unemployment benefits? Do you feel as though that is adding to the job unemployment numbers and our weak jobs report? I'll do another video for the month of May to see where we are there, whether or not we turn a corner, turn around. And I'll also try to follow the infrastructure bill to see if whether or not, if, as Nancy Pelosi alluded to, they're going to take this opportunity to try to ram that bill through Congress. So let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll put the links to these pages here as well in the description box below. Also in the description box, by the way, I am participating in a 100-mile charity bike ride for multiple sclerosis, part of the MS Society. So if you'd like to donate to my fundraising page as we try to raise awareness as well as raise funds to help those struggling with multiple sclerosis to live their best lives, as the money you donate goes towards research and treatment, feel free to check that out. I'll put the link to that in the description box below. This is Bruce the Boss Brooks, and I'm out. Peace.